Wow. Okay, so I will give it a few minutes, so see if anyone wants to come in and chat. But wow. Um so yeah, I wanted to kind of talk about why I have not posted any videos in a while, and let's get into the long story of it. All right, so I went on a trip, um, and I took my laptop with me because I had planned on editing videos while I was there. Well, turned out I didn't have time to edit videos, and the internet took a little longer to get hooked up than was originally planned. So I never took my laptop out of my bag. So here's the thing, somewhere between when I boarded or when I entered, okay, somewhere from when I left home to when I got home, my power cord, like the part that plugs into the wall to my docking station, because my computer has a docking station that has like the USB hubs, the ports that you can hook a monitor up to, all sorts of little things that you can plug into it, right? So the cord that plugs into the wall to that docking station disappeared. I never once took my computer or any parts of my computer out of that bag. The only thing I ever took out of that bag was an iPhone charger and um, my power strip that had my like magnetic charger for sleeping, and my Kindle charger. Like it's a, I don't know, it's like a square. It's got plugs and it's got USB ports. It's like a power strip. I just took the whole thing, right? So the only thing that ever came out of that bag was a power strip, and then a just a regular iPhone charging cord, so that when I was at the airport I could charge my phone. So I don't know what happened to that damn cord, to be honest with you. I'm very frustrated. We ordered another one. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. If it works, there will be a video on Wednesday. If it does not work, then I have to keep searching for one that works, because I don't want to have to go buy a new computer just because I lost a power cord. That just doesn't work for me. So we're gonna try the one that we ordered. If it, like I said, if it doesn't work, I'll probably end up going to the Microsoft site itself and just buying a whole new cable. Um, it is an older computer, so it probably could be replaced, like it could use to be replaced, but I really don't want to replace it because it still works. So, and I also haven't decided, um, hello, Alfonso. So I also haven't decided that if I did replace my computer, what I was going to replace it with. So we're hoping the charging cord situation is going to work and I won't have to replace anything, and then I can get back to posting normal videos. But going live is the best option I have right now, because one, I cannot stand to edit on my phone, and two, if I was to edit from my phone, the videos, like the footage I have already on my computer, would be worthless at that point, because everything would be out of order and it would make no sense to post things backwards. So um that being said, that's why I have not posted videos. The only thing I can think of is that the security in Sarasota took the power cord out for some reason and just did not tell me, which doesn't make sense because I'm pretty sure they're supposed to tell you if they're removing an item from your baggage. Like, because it wasn't in a checked bag, it was in my carry-on. Um, so you would think they would have told me, whatever. Um, Also, other people I know for a fact travel with their power cords for their laptops. So I don't understand why they would have took mine. But that's I like I said, I never took the computer out. The only wires I ever took out was the ones I said, the charging cord for my iPhone and then my power strip that had my magnetic charger and my Kindle charger on it for when I was at, you know, at where I was and all the fun things. So I lost my train of thought already, but I have no power cord, and that's just fingers crossed the one I ordered will work. It claims it's for my computer. I had to ask my brother which computer I even had because it was his. He had gotten it for a project, gave it to my mom. When my mom passed, my brother didn't want it back. It's technically Justin's computer, but my my MacBook Pro stopped working that my other brother had given me because he worked for a company that just basically threw them away when they were not worthy of their use anymore. So it's, I don't know. My husband claims that a coworker said they could fix the MacBook. So hopefully they can get that fixed and I'll have a backup computer. But I don't know. I'm to the point where I think I want to, not anytime soon because there's other priorities over a computer, but I think I'm going to eventually buy a desktop and then have the laptops as like travel backup situations. And I don't know, it's just frustrating. I don't travel a whole lot. I know that seems not the case here lately since, you know, I just went on a trip and then I'm about to go up to Indiana in March to visit my family. This past trip was not, like, it was planned, but it wasn't planned, if that makes any sense. I went to help a friend move. Um, so, um, yeah, I'm going back and forth between that. Like, I designed my like dream computer with Apple and got the price, and then I designed a computer with Microsoft and got a price, and they're basically the same price, so it just comes down to who am I going to give my money to. The one with both of them are like the way I designed it was set up for gaming, editing, stuff like that. So um that's the good part about those companies where they, if you do a custom order, you get to pick kind of like all the elements you want in it. It is a lot more expensive. Um, anyway, we'll see. I'll look at that. It's just a matter of if they're gonna, like, if I decide to go with a Mac, are they gonna have a Mac? You know what I mean? So it's gonna come down to what I decide I want if and when I get a new computer. Right now I have a Microsoft Surface. It works out great. I finally found an editing software I like. So really it's going to come down to if Apple would support that software, because yes, I could use iMovie, which I'm very familiar with iMovie. I used iMovie for years. And iMovie is fine and everything, but this newer software that I use, I really do like, and it's actually compared to Final Cut Pro, which is very expensive, because I did look at getting Final Cut Pro, but it's only compatible with Apple. So I ended up going with Filmora Filmora, Wondershare Filmora. Um, oh, let's see. The computer I designed both on, like I said, I went to the Microsoft site and the Windows and the Apple site, and both of them were around $3,000. So, um, I I wanted all the specs. I wanted a terabyte at least of um, memory or whatever you call it. So I looked at Adobe and I did the trial for it, and I didn't really care for it for like the type of editing I do. I don't do really in-depth editing, so I didn't really want anything that was overly complicated. I wanted something pretty simplified, and that's why I like Filmora. That's why I liked and preferred iMovie and Movie Maker. But when Movie Maker became a non-free thing, I was like, yeah, I'm not using Movie Maker anymore. I'll stick with what I can get for free, and then I ended up finding Filmora, which was, I bought it outright. I think it was like $90 when I bought it outright, and so I didn't want to have to pay another monthly fee, which a lot of them, I think, including Adobe, and I could be wrong because I looked at so many, but most of them had a monthly fee you had to pay, and I didn't want that. I just wanted to own something outright and not have to pay a fee every month, because I have enough subscriptions coming out. I didn't need a subscription for an editing software. I also like Filmora because it works offline, so I can literally upload footage and not have to have the internet until I want to export it, so I can edit and everything. Whereas I was using Clipchamp, I think it was before, it was free, but I had to have the internet to do everything. So if my power went out, like if the internet went out here, I couldn't do anything. I would have to go to like a coffee shop or something like that to even edit videos. And it also helps like if you're on a plane or something like that, which I think, I know I didn't post. I posted on Facebook, maybe Instagram. Anyway, I recently took a plane trip. Like I said, I went to go help my friend move, and the trip up there, the planes were like the older planes, and so wow, that's a lot of money. I'm not a teacher or a student, so um what was I saying? Oh, the planes going to my location were older planes, and so like the seats were more combined. The, you know, I'm plus size, and I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm plus size, so normally I have to get an extension to even buckle the seatbelt, and the trays didn't come down. But on the flights back, the planes were newer, and I could buckle the seatbelt with no extension, and the trays came down. Well, I wasn't expecting that. If I knew that, I would have like had planned to work on my computer in the plane. Luckily I didn't, because it would have ruined like my mood by pulling out my computer and seeing that my power cord was even missing. So I'm glad I didn't do that. I would have hated to ruin my trip back home. And the only reason I say that I think someone at Sarasota Security took my cord out is because in Tulsa, when I went through security, I didn't even have to take my laptop out of the bag. I didn't have to even open the bag. I literally just put the bag in the thing and sent it through. Whereas in Sarasota, I had to take the laptop out. I had to take my Kindle out, and they all had to go in separate bags. Like, I didn't have to take the cords out though, which is weird. Like, not weird, but you know what I mean? It's like I don't know how to explain it. But that was the only airport I opened my bag at, because the Apple cord I put in the front pocket so I could easily access it at the airport to plug in my phone and charge it. But the other one, but all the, I cannot talk today, but all my other cords were in the bag. Anyway, I don't know how we got back to that. Anyway, I guess I'm just upset about it. Like, I really wanted to have videos out for you guys this week, and it did not happen, and I'm just really frustrated about it because it completely ruined everything I had planned. And so that being said, if this power cord works, we will have a video Wednesday, and then we'll get back on. I'm debating on posting something Friday. We'll see. I'm not too far behind on videos. I don't have anything edited. So I didn't pre-edit things like I normally would. And so I'm still gonna have to like edit before I can post anything tomorrow. So I don't know. There will be, if the cord works, there will be a video on Wednesday. If the cord does not work, I will just post something in the community tab letting you guys know that I'm just beyond frustrated. And maybe I'll make like a sit down video or something and post it directly from my phone. I don't know. But anyway, you guys have anything you want to talk about? Because that's really all I wanted to get on here and say is what was going on and why I haven't posted videos and why I'm frustrated. But so I guess since we're still here, this book, it's just a normal planner, right? I did not think I would be using it as much as I have been, but it's been working out great because I think I went over it. It might have been on my other channel on a live, but it's really nice because I'll show you guys. And I don't care. So I write down like what's coming out of my accounts. I write down like what we're gonna have for dinner. Like tonight, well, I just put chicken. We're gonna have butter chicken. I already decided that, but so I write down what's for dinner, and then normally like if I have an appointment or something, it will be on this side, and then over on this page, it's got like you have your to-do list, your grocery list. I take this to the grocery store instead of my big notebook, and it works out great because instead of doing monthly shopping like I've been doing, like where I do just one big grocery haul, I just go and get what I need for the week. And it's been working out a lot better for me because we're trying to eat through what we have and get rid of all of our processed food and stuff like that, which I don't think I even put anything on the menu for this week that uses the processed food. So maybe that didn't work out exactly how I wanted it, but because I have a lot of macaroni in there that we need to eat and stuff like that. Actually, one of the things I was going to change because I'm making Italian meatloaf, and normally when I make meatloaf, which I hate meatloaf, I serve it with mashed potatoes and corn, but it's an Italian meatloaf, so I think I'm going to serve it with pasta. So I'm going to cross that out, and I'm going to put pasta. And over here where I have potatoes, I don't need potato. Do I need potatoes for any other meals? Let me look. I could probably make potatoes on Thursday when I make garlic pork chops. We'll just leave the potatoes because if anything else, I can just make some mashed potatoes to put in the freezer, which I'm trying not to do because we're trying to eat through the freezer because it needs to be defrosted again. So minus the turkey, everything will get used. But yeah. Also, I need lunch ideas because I don't normally, like, I will be so busy I forget to eat lunch, but here lately, um, like, because I don't eat breakfast either, so usually the only time I eat, if I don't, like, how do I explain it? I'll, like, munch on things like apples and pickles and try to think of what else we have here. um, but I'll eat like small things throughout the day, but I need to start eating more lunches. I did put salad on my list to get some salads, but I don't want to eat salad every single day, so I need ideas for lunch that's not a sandwich because I don't really like eating sandwiches. I'll get Subway every now and then, but like I don't really like to eat like cold cut sandwiches and stuff like that. Um, so I just need something like something I can meal prep as well. So any ideas would be greatly appreciated. Um, Also, dinner ideas. I'm always looking for dinner ideas. I need to start planning next week's menu as well, so I can go ahead and get that in the books instead of doing everything the last minute, because I do need to know what I'm cooking on Monday and maybe Tuesday, so I can go ahead and buy that this week because I go shopping on Tuesdays generally. But anyway, guys, I don't know. If you want to talk about anything, let me know and we'll talk about it. So that's all I really had to say. I need to. I don't know. What's everyone else been doing? Because me, I've been watching YouTube videos. For some reason, I've gotten into watching like full restoration videos. Like, I'm talking about houses where like they take things down to the studs and rebuild them. I don't know. I think it's because usually when I start watching videos like that, it's when I just am really ready for a change. And this is a rental, so it's not like I can start like painting walls or tearing stuff out. That's honestly why I want to buy a house, so that when I feel the need to change something, I can. Obviously, money's going to have an issue with that as well, but like, even if it's something simple as just painting, it usually will help. I just need change. Um, I am, I don't know, like, I like the idea of staying in one spot for the rest of my life, but at the other side is that, you know, I'm an army brat, so I grew up moving around a lot, and so like I feel like that kind of stuck with me. Like, I like to move around a lot. I like the change, but I'm also to an age where like it's so tiring to pack everything up and move it. So I'm just ready for like a permanent spot. I could also just get rid of all my stuff and move into like an RV or something. My husband would absolutely love that. Like I'm a big maximalist. Like this is like the type of decor I like. I my family is like my everything, and so I like to display my family all over my house. And so I don't have a lot of decor. I have a lot of pictures, and I feel like if I move into like something smaller, I would have to get rid of all my pictures. I almost feel like I need to move into something bigger and add more pictures. But anyway, that's just a weird me thing. But I'm just ready. I don't. Do you guys get that way? Are anyone else out there like that? That you just really need a change in your life and you don't know really how to satisfy that? Because like for me, usually if it would be like painting a wall or moving the furniture around, but in here the only other way to move the furniture around is to put it in front of the window, which I wouldn't care. The window doesn't open anyway, and it would actually prevent the dog from getting up in the window and barking at everyone that even came near our house. I don't know. I don't know. I need to figure something out. It's getting very stagnant, and it's hard to do anything in a rental. Like it's hard to really change things and make it your own in a rental because it's not your property to do stuff to. I don't know. Also, I don't know how much longer we're going to be here, so I don't want to like call the landlord and be like, hey, can I paint the walls this color? And then end up moving a month later. That just, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, it's frustrating. Very, very frustrating. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one like that. Like, it's very hard to explain. Like, really hard to explain. Like, I have the need to just pack up and move. Like, I have not the need, I have the want to just pack up and move. Logically, it makes no sense to do that just because I'm bored of here. I need to move my legs, so we're gonna move y'all for just a second. Okay, so yeah, it makes no sense. Logically, it makes no sense, but I've had this issue my whole life. I get bored and just want to leave, like pack up and leave. And honestly, that's how I ended up in Florida the first time. Because I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. I had to get out of Indiana for sure. That state is so toxic. I hate that state. I don't know. There's people who love that state, but for me, it was like soul crushing. I was never happy there. And I think it's really comes down to the fact that it's so different from Georgia. So when my dad um, was phasing out of the Army to retirement, we got stationed in Georgia because when I don't know if it's all Army, like all positions, but for them, he basically told him, hey, I'm going to retire at the end of this term. And so instead of positioning him in a longer role, they moved us to Georgia. He worked at the National Guard there until his retirement. And so I was living in Georgia from 4th grade to 9th grade. And at the beginning of 10th grade, I went to 10th grade there in Georgia for like 2 months. And then we moved to Indiana. And it's just such a different world. Like, because I lived in a pretty small town in Georgia to going to Noblesville High School, which my niece and my nephew are having just a fantastic time there. But I think what I learned is in Indiana, like if you're an outsider, you're an outsider. They don't ever welcome you. And um exactly, they're not. They are not. They're not very welcoming. I like I said, came in late my 10th grade year, and I stayed at Noblesville High School for 2 years. Well, technically enrolled for two, probably a year and a half, because my junior year, like, all right, so just full transparency, I I went to no, Noblesville High School my sophomore year, and then my junior year I went half of the year, and then the last half I started skipping. Well, when they did the state test, like the standardized state test that's required for every student to take, I had already missed 3 months of school up until that test, but I missed the test, and they didn't call my parents until I missed that test. And so my parents asked me, "Where were you? You missed the test." I said, "I haven't been to school in 3 months, and they're just now calling you." So that right there, why haven't you been to school? Well, the reason I stopped going to school is because the teacher called me stupid, and I reported it and was told I was being over dramatic. And so I just stopped going to school because even the guidance counselors said I was being over dramatic. Last time I checked, being called stupid by a teacher was not the right move. And like, I'll tell you right now, okay, I had all sorts of confidence in Georgia. I had all sorts of friends in Georgia. My I wasn't a very I wasn't small by any means, but I wasn't a big girl in Georgia. I, I when we left Georgia, I was like a size 10, which yes is big for society standards, but I was nowhere near what I got to in Indiana. And in Indiana, like, people were just so rude. They No one was nice. Like, no one was nice at all. I had a small group of friends, and they were fine, but like, the people just bully you there. Even the teachers bullied you, and it just really lowered my confidence in myself, and it made it really hard to even care, if that makes any sense. So I went from being a size 10 when I left Georgia to, by the time I graduated high school, I was a size 22, something like that. I was big. So, and I'm still that big. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still, right now I am down into a 22. Some brands are 24. So I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it and say that life got better. No, I lost my confidence. That Indiana ruined me. And that's schools, they don't have to pay. Yeah, so I, and then okay, so I left Noblesville, right? I dropped out, and my dad gave me a choice. You're going to go back to school, or you're going to work 2 jobs. Well, I tried working 2 jobs, and I'm like, nah, this isn't my life. So I said, can I go to a different school? And so we used my uncle's address. I went to a different school. It was about a 40-minute drive from my house, but I just drove it for the most part. Um, yeah, I pretty much drove it every day. Sometimes I stayed at my uncle's house so I'd be closer, but that school was a lot smaller. It was more of the size of school that I was in Georgia. But again, I was lonely. I was pretty much by myself. I didn't really have any friends there. And I can tell you right now, if I went back to a high school reunion for the school I actually graduated at, no one would know who I was. They'd be like, "Who are you? You didn't go to our school." But I did. I actually graduated from that school, but no one would know who I was because no one talked to me. I was that lonely. I was literally so lonely my senior year, and I just went to school to finish it and get out. I was I was to the point where I just did not care anymore. And it's really sad when people are so rude, so like just not, not very welcoming. And I get it. You guys all grew up together. You don't want a newcomer coming in. I totally get it. But see, I think what happened was in Georgia, I went I started in elementary school. And in elementary school, from elementary school you go to middle school, and you basically split based off of where you live. So you get a lot of new people in the middle school. And then from middle school you go to high school, which again, you get a whole lot of new people that were at different middle schools than you. And so for us, because it wasn't like for example in Noblesville, yeah, you were all in different elementary schools, but they only had one intermediate school, one middle school, one high school. Now they do have two middle schools, but before it was all one. So everyone grew up together except for elementary. They probably all combined in middle school, so forth. But I didn't have that luxury in Indiana. So the only person, and this is where it gets really bad, because I have family in Indiana. My cousin went to school with me, and he didn't even talk to me in school. So when I tell you that high school was super lonely, I really mean it was really lonely. My best year of high school was my freshman year, and I was in Georgia for that. I was in pep club, I was in choir, I was in all sorts of, after school activities. It was great. And then I got to Indiana. I couldn't join choir because they require you to try out the end of the previous year, because they do summer things. They're all about I was in all-state choir in Georgia, which you did have to try out for all-state choir. But in Indiana, their high school choir was like the whole competition thing. So you had to like audition the year before. So I went there with the expectations of being able to join choir. Wasn't allowed to do that. They didn't have a pep club, so you had to be a cheerleader, which Georgia like ruined me for cheerleaders, by the way. And so Georgia was not all sunshines and rainbows, but because I did try out for cheerleading, I wanted to be, so 8th grade, you have to try out for high school cheerleading. I tried out for high school cheerleading, and I was told that I was good, but I didn't fit the criteria. Basically meaning I was too big to be a cheerleader. Now they don't have that as oh, 93. I was in El Paso, Texas in 93. That's the year, no, we moved back in 1990, 91, 92. Yeah, and we moved from El Paso in 94. So, but again, I lived on, in, not on, I lived in a military community. So almost everyone I went to school with in Texas had military families. So we were all transplant kids. So we all basically knew the lifestyle. We all got along. It was great. I loved school in Texas. I loved school in Texas. I loved school in Georgia. Indiana just ruined me. Indiana absolutely was the worst state in the world. It's not very nice to transplant people, for sure. My older brother doesn't understand that because he was already graduated from high school, and in college, well, he dropped out of college to move to Indiana, but so he didn't have to worry about being a transplant student there. My younger brother got to do elementary school in Indiana, so yes, he was technically a transplant kid, but transplanting in elementary school is a lot easier than transplanting in middle, intermediate, high school level. Maybe. I went to Dr. Nixon Elementary. So in 90, 91, 92, and hold on. 90, 91. Bonham Elementary. That might have been the first one I went to, because I went to 2 elementary schools in Texas, in El Paso, but we ended up moving on to like this neighborhood where a bunch of Army people lived. It wasn't a base, but that's when I transferred to Dr. Nixon. But I can't remember the elementary school I went to before Dr. Nixon. It might have been that one. I'd have to ask my dad. He might remember. My mom would have for sure remembered, but obviously she's not around for me to ask anymore. I might even, I wonder if I look through some of her paperwork if I can find something. It might have been Bonham. Because we lived, I don't remember the names of the roads. I can get you to my house that I lived in when I went to Dr. Nixon, but I could not tell you where the other house was. I can't even tell you. We didn't live at that house very long, so I didn't even go to the other school very long. I went half the year, and then we transferred. Like a bunch of us Army people transferred because it was a new neighborhood. Dr. Nixon was just built, like fresh paint, everything, when we got transferred to that school. So, but I can't remember. I can tell you the layout of my house that I lived in when I went to Dr. Nixon, and I can almost tell you the layout of Dr. Nixon, but I could not tell you anything else about like the house we lived at in Texas before that. I don't know. My brain is so weird. Like it's almost like I didn't live there very long situation. So because it was literally we moved it. We didn't even unpack everything because it was just going to be until the house in the neighborhood by Dr. Nixon was done, because we were all brought, not all of us, most of the people there were from other countries that were being transported back to America. So there wasn't anyone that I went to school with in Germany, though, but there were people that lived in other parts of Germany that were brought back, and then there were people that lived in like Japan, and I think it was Japan, it might have been China. They lived in an Asian country, and there's someone that was, their parents were stationed in Africa or Australia, I can't remember what one. But we had a lot of people that were coming from overseas back to South Bend. Yeah. So you got to stay in the States. Were your family military, or you just moved around a bunch? You must have been a grade lower than me too. I graduated in 2001. I could have graduated in 2000. If I would have stayed at Noblesville, I could have graduated in 2000. I could have graduated a year earlier because I had the credits for it. But I didn't. I didn't. Just like I said, teacher calls you stupid, you just give up. You're just like, fuck it. I'm done. Sorry. I don't normally say that word on my channel. My bad. Um, but yeah. Now, I can say since graduating high school, I moved around a bunch. So, like I said, I got a gypsy soul, I think. I just don't like to be in one place for too long. And if I'm in that one place for too long, it needs to change. Like something needs to change within my living quarters. Yeah, I see with high schools, yes, that's for sure. But like when I moved, because I thought I was going to have to do 2 more years when we moved because I didn't know how the credit system would work at the new, not when we moved, when I moved from Noblesville to the school I graduated at. I thought for sure I was going to have to do 2 more years, but when I got there, they told me I had more than enough credits that if I stayed on track, I could graduate early. Still, like, only have to go half a semester. I didn't stay on track. Let's just be honest. I only went to go, so I barely got by in my classes. And I think one of the things that really made me mad is that I took algebra in Georgia, algebra 1, and when I got to Noblesville, the guidance counselor said, "Oh, you can do much better than this." I made a C in algebra 1, which for me that's good. I'm not a math person. And they're like, "Oh, you can do better than that. I'm going to make you take algebra 1 again." Why? I passed. So I ended up doing worse. And they're like, "I don't understand how you did worse." I said, "Well, for one, your teachers could not explain anything. I even stayed after and asked for help, and the way they explained things made no sense at all." Also, see, I had to have 40 credits because I was core 40. So I had to have 40 credits to graduate. Um, Luckily, like my junior and senior year, I didn't have to do any math classes because my sophomore year, I did algebra and I did geometry, um, which was, I did algebra 1 and geometry, which is all that was really required, that you have to at least take those two. Um, so I just got them all out of the way my junior year. And then they were shocked I did physics in ninth grade because they said in Indiana we do biology in ninth grade and you don't take physics until your junior year. And I'm like, well, guess I'm ahead of the curve because. And then that's the other thing. He's like, "I don't understand how you did so poorly in math, but you excelled in physics. There's math and physics." I said, "They teach better in Georgia." That's exactly what I told the guidance counselor. They just teach better in Georgia. And they did. The teachers in Georgia cared about the students. They did not care about the athletes. In Indiana, they care about the athletes and not the whole student population. If you were not an athletic person or in something like band or choir, something that brought money into the school, they didn't care about you. You were just chopped freaking liver to them. They did not care what you did. And um um like the prime example was in geography. We had to do a 20-page report on a state. And I know for a fact that one of the students literally like copied crap right off the internet. All his pictures were off the internet, everything. We had to include 20 pages of written information and then we had to include 10 pictures. I got a C on that paper. My mom was pissed off because she edited the whole thing for me. Like I wrote it and she edited it and make it sound right, right? She helped me find the pictures. we didn't have a printer at the time, so we had to print stuff off at the library. It cost money to print stuff off at the library, even back then. And because the school library, even the school library, I had to pay to print stuff off. That you had to pay to go to school there, by the way. You had to pay tuition to go to high school in Indiana. In Georgia, free education. You had to pay for your books, you had to pay for your parking, you had to pay for your lunch, you had to pay for your locker, you had to pay for freaking anything you wanted in that school. In Georgia, you paid for a locker, you paid, well, if you didn't qualify for a free lunch, you paid for your lunch. And, yeah, so we were already having to pay tuition to go to high school. I don't understand that, but whatever. And then on top of it, you had to pay for everything else. Anyway, long story short, I got a C on this project. My mom was mad. This kid that literally copied and pasted stuff from that he found, word for word, you tell he plagiarized. He got an A, but he was on the football team. Everyone that was not on the football team, or again, something that brought money into the school, did poorly on that project. And everyone that was on a thing that brought money into the school, they all got passing grades. And it's irritating because it's a 20-page project. You worked the whole semester, well, I worked the whole semester on it because it was our final project due towards the end of the year. It just frustrating as all hell to put all that work into just to be shit on. It just, whatever. So, yeah, I hate Noblesville schools. I could crap on them all day long. I did. I reported everything. I even wrote to the school board. I never got a response back from anyone, and it's just the fact that they don't freaking care. They really don't care. They would much rather get the state money for, you know, in my opinion, non-academic things like sports, and I think sports are important. So that's not put out there that I don't like sports. I do think sports, music programs, and all of that are important. But I think you should still create all students equally. You should not focus just on the revenue bringing in students, because that's not right, in my opinion. Like I said, in Georgia, yeah, I was in choir. Yeah, I was on the pep team. Yeah, I was doing all sorts of things for the school. But, you know, I had friends that did nothing but go to school, and they got treated just the same. So you should just treat all students equally. That's all I'm saying. No, Noblesville schools did not do that. They were the worst school ever. Because I went to another Indiana school. Like I said, I dropped out, and then I ended up going back to a different high school. And like I said, I was still lonely there. I had no friends there, but the teachers at least treated everyone equally. They didn't focus on only the people that brought like the sports teams and stuff like that, probably because their sports team wasn't that great, to be honest. But they didn't focus solely on those students. They didn't make sure those students passed. So and he wasn't the only teacher. He was the main one. He was the football coach. So of course all of his football players passed his class. And I mean, I think the school board should have solved that as an issue, because there's no way all of those football players were doing poorly in other subjects, but passing with straight A's in geography. There's just no way. So they should have solved something there. Not saying that these students ever failed a class. No. I mean, they would always get a passing grade, so they would always end a semester at least a C. So they never failed a class. So, um, but they also weren't the brightest. And honestly, I don't think that does them any favors for life, because when they get to college, or when they got to college, because, you know, I'm old now. So when those football players and stuff went to college, they weren't getting, like, I have a friend, not a friend, I have an acquaintance. um, he was on the basketball team. He went to college, and he straight up said that the school system failed him because he was expecting that if he was on the sports team there, he would, you know, just automatically pass, that he wouldn't have to try so hard. But colleges, they don't F around. Those professors don't care what sports you're playing or anything like that. So he ended up losing like his basketball scholarship and everything. And he ended up dropping out, and then he ended up going to a trade school. So, um, my husband did that. He went to a vocational trade school for, um, well, the way his worked, I guess he went a certain amount of days, and then he went to a regular school for a couple days. So, but yeah, he graduated with a associate's degree in computer, what is it? Um, computer something. But he doesn't even use that degree. So, I mean, he did. He worked for Procter and Gamble for years with that degree, but when they outsourced that department overseas, like most companies do, because it's cheaper, he didn't want to move overseas, so he declined their offer to go overseas, and he just started working in the warehouse industry, and now he's in management and so on and so forth. So things, I don't know. I went to school. I never graduated. Like, I never graduated college. I graduated high school, but I never finished college. I switched majors so many times, and then I ended up just dropping out and not finishing any of them because life happened, and I would always have to take a break and then go back and then take a break and then go back. And every time I went back, I would just change things up. Like, I originally went for business management. I was 6 months from graduating, and the school I was going to switched to a vet tech college only, like vet tech campus only, and so I would have to go to a downtown campus. I couldn't afford to drive downtown at the time, and I definitely couldn't afford to park downtown every day, and so I had to leave that school. Well, that school ended up being an unaccredited college, so your credits would not transfer from them. So I had to start all over. I went to ITT Tech. If you know anything about ITT Tech, you know that they're in a shit ton of trouble. And oh, luckily, like all my student loans from ITT Tech did get wiped out because of their whole thing. Because I had proof that I tried to go to another college and my credits from ITT Tech wouldn't transfer, even though they claim that they are a accredited college. And so I went to ITT Tech for criminal justice, and I had 1 year left when I didn't drop out. We switched to online schooling. I can't do online schooling. We tried. I can't do it. So the whole plan was to go back once we got moved to Florida, me and my friend, once we got moved to Florida, because there was an ITT Tech campus in Florida. But when we got down to Florida, the ITT Tech campus that we thought we were going to be able to go to had shut down, and then the closest one was in Tampa, and we couldn't afford to drive that far. So what did we do? We switched schools. and found out that ITT Tech is not an accredited school, even though they said they were an accredited school. So none of my things transferred. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna go back for business. I'm not gonna go back for criminal justice. I'm gonna go for culinary. So I went to culinary school. And see, yes, but the problem is that when I was in high school, I was told by this college that I was going to go to, it was um, a business college. So strictly, they only did like accounting, business management, stuff like that. So I ended up not going to that school, but my whole plan was to go to this school and be an accountant. I wanted to be an accountant. I'm really good. I know I suck at math, but I'm really good with numbers. I'm really good with accounting. But they came to our school, they talked to us, they're like, oh, you don't even need to take your SATs for this. I never took my SATs. So I did go up to a community college to talk to them about going to that school. I would have had to go and take my SATs, and I'd already been out of school for 4 years. So it's like, I didn't think I would even do good at my SATs. So I didn't even bother with those. That's why I stuck with like these technical schools. My brother graduated from ITT Tech. His degree is from ITT Tech, and yeah, they ended up scamming a bunch of people because they lied about their accreditation. Like my brother's degree is like, it's a legit degree, but like if he needed to go to school for any additional training, he would have to like, basically, I don't know how it was explained, he would almost have to start over because everything he learned in his degree from ITT Tech wouldn't have been acknowledged by the other school that he would have. I don't know how to explain it really, but like his degree works as far as getting jobs go, as far as getting jobs. But like if he needed an additional schooling and he wasn't, obviously he can't go back to ITT Tech, they don't exist anymore. Um, he would have to basically start over. So huh. We had a school like that in Georgia. It was called an alternative school, and that's where they sent the bad kids to. And it was, I mean, I did an after school program there, not because I was a bad kid, but that's where the after school program was. It was for it was for kids having a hard time at home, and I was having a hard time at home at that point. Um, no, again, I love Georgia. Everything in Georgia was great, except for we were having some issues at home. And I did find out my mom lied to me. So, that being said, I don't want to speak ill of my mom because, I love my mom and I miss my mom, but I did find out she absolutely lied to me about why we moved to Indiana, and I'm a little upset from finding that out. And I don't think my dad meant to throw her under the bus the way he did, because I think he thought I knew why we moved to Indiana, but I did not. I did not know the real reason we moved to Indiana. And all these years I was blaming my dad for us moving to Indiana, and it was not his idea. So, I don't know. Anyway, but well, we've already been on here for over an hour, so I think I'm gonna go because I'm getting a little hungry and I need to find something to eat. I don't really have anything here, but I don't. I honestly don't have the money to go eat. I spent all my money on my vacation. I'm not gonna lie, well, it wasn't even vacation. On my trip, because it was not a vacation. I spent all of my money, literally all of my money. Um, hmm. They might not have called it an alternative school, but if they were sending the bad kids to a certain school, they were trying to turn it into an alternative high school. One of the ones I was substitute teaching at here in Florida, um, basically said that it was going to become an alternative school, and so they were trying to figure out how to redistrict kids that did not qualify for alternative. But all of the kids at that school were, they didn't care. They didn't, like, I straight up said, and I didn't care if they reported me at one point. I straight up looked at the kids and said, I feel sorry for you guys. And the one girl was like, well, why? And it's like, because you don't even want to try. You know, you're sitting here, I'm sitting here basically trying to give you guys the answers to tell you what to write down on these papers for your grade, and you don't even care enough to listen, to learn, to do good in school. I said, what are you planning on doing with your life? And a lot of them straight up said that they were going to become influencers. They were going to make a lot of money off of YouTube, TikTok, etc. And I said, good luck. I said, because those aren't guaranteed. YouTube, TikTok, all those could end tomorrow. What are you going to have to fall back on? You need to do good in school. You need to have a secondary plan. Yeah, if you want to go out and be an influencer, go by all means go out and try. But have a secondary plan. Have something to fall back on, because that's not always going to be there. One day the internet is going to, like, people are going to realize that influencers are insignificant, whatever, and they're gonna just go away. Marketing companies are gonna go back to actually marketing things rather than pushing influencers that no one cares about. Honestly, I don't think there's one influencer, and I say influencer as like a product pushing person. When I say influencer, I don't mean someone that's just making content on the internet, because technically we're all influencers in our own way. Like, for example, I normally do cleaning content, so I'm like influencing you guys to clean your house, right? But when I say influencer, I mean like the product pushing people, the people that are constantly pushing products on you. And that's more so on TikTok than on YouTube. Yes, YouTube people have sponsorships, but they're not every video like pushing. Like on TikTok, it's like everyone's got a freaking sponsor, and they're buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. Eventually, they're gonna realize that no one cares about these people anymore, because all they're doing is pushing products. They're not even putting any actual content out there, and they're going to become irrelevant, and then marketing teams are going to have to go back to marketing. And then what are you going to do with your life if that was your goal in life, was to be a product pushing influencer? You're going to have to find something else to do. So I don't know, like, I tell everyone, YouTube is a hobby for me. Even if I ever make money off of YouTube, it'll still be a hobby. Like, YouTube could end tomorrow and it would not affect me. We don't rely on me and YouTube to live. My husband pays for everything. Like, he covers everything. So any money that I got from YouTube, if I ever get to the point where I could be monetized, would literally just be extra money for us that we could put away for retirement and stuff like that. Um, so YouTube is not that important. Like, it's it's important to me to stay connected with you guys because I've made a lot of good friends on this platform. But like as far as like if it ends tomorrow and I'm not gonna make money off, I don't really care. I don't need YouTube to survive, if that makes any sense. And I feel really bad for the like the family vloggers and stuff like that who have put all of their eggs into this basket, because one day it's not going to be there, and then what are they going to do? They have nothing to fall back on because they had babies in high school or whatever, and they didn't even get a higher education or anything like, which granted, I don't think higher education is necessary by any means. Obviously, I have some, but I don't have an actual degree to prove my higher education. So I don't think higher education is necessary. I think more people actually need to go to trade schools and um, not worry about going to like a 4-year university or stuff like that. We need less doctors and lawyers, and we need more mechanics, more like people to work on houses and stuff like that. We need more trade school type job people than we need people to go because they think they're going to get rich by being a doctor or a lawyer. Anyway, that's all, guys. I'm going to go ahead and end this here. So if you like this, give a thumbs up, comment down below, and hopefully I will have a video for you guys on Wednesday. So I'll see you then. Bye.